Hello Indie Game fans, this lot of surprise releases includes the usual updates and 1.0 releases, but also includes a game from Devolver which I'm pretty sure you have not heard about, 2 free games and 1 older title from 2022 that's worth a look, but let's begin with Dynacat, a 3D platformer that sure seems to be inspired by Sonic with the loop-de-loops, rings and that gotta go fast game design, having an interesting look and is going under the radar, so if you love games like this, give it a look. I was perhaps as surprised as you when I came to know of Cricket Through the Ages, since this is, believe it or not, a Devolver Digital published title from developer Free Lives, makers of Broforce, Genital Jousting, Gone, and most recently, Terra Nil from last year, but somehow this game seems to have slipped through the cracks with just 23 Steam reviews as of recording, and is vastly underperforming all their other games. It's a wacky one-button physics title that is kind of like What the Golf in the sense that it plays with the core concepts of cricket, the sport, but in different eras and does look like fun. This video is brought to you by Anomaly Collapse, a turn-based roguelite RPG set in a supernatural sci-fi universe in which otherworldly beings have invaded the city and your squad of furry heroes must fight back. This has an innovative 1D battlefield which requires strategy and planning since all of your units and enemies are on a single plane, hence 1D, but you can move and shift your units around, in which their position matters when it comes to using attacks and abilities. You pick 3 out of 8 characters to form your team, with each character being unique in their abilities and how they are used in battle, having to synergistically use their abilities and even inventory items to defeat the monsters in order to uncover the mysteries of the universe. This releases today, 12th April on Steam, and as an added bonus, the developers are giving away exclusive Steam keys for the full game, so head on over to their Twitter page to join the excitement, links to all of these in the description below. Our first free title is Rabbit Hole, a roguelike platformer with the action taking place in distinct rooms in which you are collecting various guns and meeting new characters as you adventure down the rabbit hole. For the low price of free, you could be doing much worse with your time, so if your budget's a little tight this month, why not give this a go? Here's a tremendously overlooked title in Athena Crisis, a pixel art turn-based tactics title that seems to be straight up Advance Wars due to the military theme and looks to be a tried and true tribute to the classic title. There are new ideas introduced in this game such as Fog of War, different skills and powers for the units, and even different victory conditions that is not just kill all enemies, but also includes escorting units to a safe zone, surviving for a set number of turns, capturing all enemy bases and more. It also has a map editor and campaign creator, as well as online co-op and PvP, all wrapped up with an amazing look, so if you're a fan of the genre, do give this a try. Are you ready for something weird? Dialtown Phone Dating Sim is a visual novel dating sim in which you get to know various telephones of all kinds, and that's the kind of weird indie game that has to be seen to be believed. The developer did reach out, and this is surprisingly popular with more than 1,300 Steam reviews as of recording, so people do love this game and maybe you will too, but I guarantee you will not find something like this in mainstream games. Another strange release is Penny Blood Hellbound, since this is a standalone action roguelike title that is set in the same universe as Penny Blood, a turn-based JRPG which somehow was part of a double Kickstarter with Armed Fantasia, itself being a successor to Wild Arms, so they have somehow spun out another game from it, which might not exactly be in their area of expertise, looking to be an okay one of these.
Not bad.
Home is where the heartless are. Bloody good time.
I've had my eye on Puzzles For Clef for a little bit, since it's a self-styled platforming puzzle adventure game and did somehow end up with the Metroidvania tag, which is why it got on my radar. Since it's a puzzle game through and through, you are exploring a floating island in the sky to uncover its secrets, and will be of interest to fans of the genre. The first-person factory builder game Techtonica has been steadily chugging along in early access, with the factory efficiency updates adding more stuff, with this narrated trailer being well made, so enjoy.
Genre, while also adding new machines and tools for returning and experienced players alike. Your adventure begins deep within the rogue planet of Calyx, where you emerge from cryostasis to uncover the mysteries of a lost expedition through hidden facilities, scannable secrets, and unique characters who unfold a fully voiced narrative as your factory develops. Destructible terrain gives you the power to explore on your own terms, and with inserters and conveyor belts, you'll design and automate your own production lines. Creations that will reach new heights in version 0.3 with the addition of vertical belts. Combined with structural resources from our base building update, you can create exactly the layout you want in any direction you choose. And when it comes time for your factory to grow, rifling through your inventory will be a thing of the past. With the Quick Copy tool, simply aim at the machine you want to duplicate, click once, and place it wherever you like. Upgrading your factory is now a snap, thanks to the Replacer tool. Draw a box, select your upgrade, and it's done. Storage limiting enables advanced players to precisely control the maximum inventory of containers, enabling finely tuned systems of production. Stack filter inserters offer the best of both worlds between flow control and mass transportation. With every update, we strive to give you more ways to create and automate your factories, and to make it easier, faster, and more fun.
The sandbox crafting action-adventure game Wizard with a Gun had a decent showing at launch in October 2023, and while not in early access, the developers have been adding free content to the game, the latest of which is Bounty of Guns, adding a bounty system in which you can take on contracts, and with over 50 new guns, enemies, events, and more being added, makes this even better. Here's features a quirky asymmetric multiplayer title named Oh Deer, which pits one hunter against 4 or more friends who play as the deer, with the player deer having to act inconspicuous in order to blend in with the AI-controlled deer so as not to get killed. But when night falls, the tables are turned and the hunter becomes the hunted. It had a decent launch in early access and peaked at about 1,200 players, which is good for an indie game, although that has since fallen to about 200 on the daily, which is always the trouble with multiplayer-focused indie games. But if you can get a couple of friends to play together, this does look like fun.
Using the solved puzzle to create a new puzzle. Can you solve the mystery of the Grimoire?
Japanese developer Jupiter Corporation does seem to be exclusively making Picross or Nonograms titles, having released many such games especially on Nintendo platforms like the Switch and the 3DS. But they have made a Picross game for PC titled Logiart Grimoire, which just released out of early access. There are a few meta elements to this game, in having to complete puzzles to gain elements and then to use these to craft new puzzles, Doodle God style, but for the most part, it's a Picross game through and through, and is of interest since this is my favourite type of logic puzzle game.
Special figures.
Surprise releases generally don't work well for indie game developers, and perhaps an example of that is BattleJuice Alchemist, an action-adventure RPG that combines alchemy and potion crafting with Diablo-like isometric action. But this, interestingly, also has one-on-one combat that zooms into an almost JRPG-like interface, but is not turn-based, so it's quite the curiosity even in early access. Since the surprising success of The Exit 8, there have been quite a number of games attempting to capture that same vibe, most of which are quite bad, but ever so often we get a game like Chilla's art Shinkansen 0, one that has you walking through the cabins of the Japanese bullet train in order to spot anomalies in that creepy spot the difference kind of way. If you love horror games, this developer's other works are worth a look as well, since they've been putting out games consistently every couple of months, some hitting much harder than others, but are all generally great horror games. Squeaking out right at the end of March is Nightmare the Lunatic, a Korean action roguelite title that has been in early access for quite a bit, so with the full release, now's a good time to jump in. It's a pretty pixel art title with a gimmick that encourages you to switch between the 3 weapons while in combat, having the expected roguelite challenge and procedural generation. Of course, the comparison will be made to Skull the Hero Slayer, and that game is on another level, but if you want something new, this might be worth a look.
How many times have you returned to this point? I have not counted.
In the wide world of indie games, you'll be surprised to see how many of these insanely popular titles barely get any coverage from English-speaking media and content creators, one of which is Murders on the Yangtze River, an Ace Attorney-like detective adventure game set in early 20th century China. This was released in January 2024 to amazing success, and that was even without the English language version, which has since been patched on March 15th and seems like a rather good translation, so now's the time to jump in if you love Phoenix Wright. Another free title that has received quite a bit of attention is Rental, since it sure looks like spooky Animal Crossing, in which you play as a bunny and her family, who rents a house in a new unknown location and the horrors that come along with that. One of the standout releases of the month has to be King of the Bridge, a chess game in concept, but your opponent is a troll under the bridge that cheats at the game. I suppose the success of this game has to be, in part, due to the resurgence in popularity of chess, but add to that the 20 different rule changes to the classic game and you have plenty to wrap your head around. In terms of look and presentation, it's simple and minimalist but very well done, and at just $3 is a no-brainer pick. I was pleasantly surprised about the release of Crypt of the Necrodancer Synchrony, a paid DLC to one of my favourite roguelikes of all time, since at that point, it was 7+ years since the release of the original and I absolutely did not see it coming. And after about 1.5 years in early access, the DLC has released out of it, which is an interesting way to go about making DLC. But it makes one of the all-time greats even better to get the complete bundle for the full experience. Watch this video for the best roguelite releases of each of the past 10 years.